Tonight on The Times on WAMI 69. While Broward was counting fast and furiously, Miami-Dade was plain old infuriating. The Times wonders what possibly could have been more important than electing the President of the United States. When it comes to expert witnesses, money talks. Or, more to the point, money makes them talk and say whatever you want them to say.
The quality of the experts you're getting now aren't very good. They'll say anything. They'll come up with any type of a theory to justify or to satisfy the individuals paying their fee.
And Downey fresh from rehab, the troubled actor just can't stay clean.
Live from WAMI 69, breaking the story and breaking the rules. These are The Times with Ben Mankiewicz.
Topping the slightly more certain, yet still a tad uncertain times, George W. Bush will be the next president of the United States. Probably. Still might be that Gore guy. Hard to say. We'll keep you posted though. Now, today's developments. Early this morning, the sun came up and then it all went to crap. Gore officially contested the results in Palm Beach, Dade, and Nassau counties. His lawyers then officially asked a judge to declare Gore the winner based on, quote, the true and accurate results. On a conference call with House and Senate Minority Leaders Dick Gephardt and Tom Daschle, Gore said it wasn't only a matter of principle, but a matter of math, and not the fuzzy kind.
It is about the larger principle that I outlined. If every vote is counted, there are easily more than enough to change the outcome and decide the election in our favor.
Here is the math according to Gore. Bush's lead now is 537 votes. If you add the 215 votes Gore gained in Palm Beach County, but which weren't certified by the state, and the 157 votes he gained in Miami-Dade before the county shut down its recount, and then subtract another 174 overseas absentee votes Bush picked up over the weekend that Team Gore says should not have counted, then really you have Gore by 9. Factor in those 10,000 undervotes in Dade and his lead could be much larger. If this whole process now sounds as if it could get uglier before it gets better, well, you're right. But have faith. Al Sharpton is here, filing a lawsuit against Secretary of Babe Katherine Harris in Miami, claiming her certification disenfranchised minority voters. And you know, if Reverend Al is in town, cooler heads will prevail. As we mentioned, the treasure trove of potential votes for Gore is in Dade County, which voted not to do a manual recount, then changed its mind, then voted not to recount again, then changed its mind again, then started a recount, and then stopped, saying they wouldn't finish by last night's deadline. Hey, Dade, Broward finished, Palm Beach sort of finished, and they would have finished completely if they hadn't taken Thanksgiving off. But Dade, pathetic and inept. In other words, typical Miami politics. Here's Steve Alvarez.
Last Wednesday, with the whole world watching and dozens of protesters trying to beat down the door, the Miami-Dade Canvassing Board caved in. So what if they held the fate of the presidential election in their hands? They went home.
I believe we should stop at this time. We cannot meet the deadline of the Supreme Court of the state of Florida.
To me, that's dereliction of duty. I think the Dade Canvassing Board should be fully ashamed of themselves.
UM Professor Thomas Steinfeld isn't alone. There are plenty of people who feel the Canvassing Board's cop-out, their decision to give up on the manual recount, goes against the premise that every vote should count. Did they give up in Broward? No. Palm Beach County? No. They kept right on counting.
Each board is responsible to exercise its own discretion.
County Attorney Bob Ginsburg says at first the board thought they could at least count the 10,750 ballots that didn't register on the machines. But board members changed their minds soon after they started.
What I saw was that it became clear during the morning to the election supervisor there simply were not enough hours to complete it by the time frame specified.
But there should have been, because while Broward and Palm Beach counties had already started their manual recounts, Miami-Dade County waited and waited and waited for days for someone to tell them what to do.
What I would suspect is that there's just a general incompetence. Incompetence in the sense that you've got the right to do it. You're an adult. You don't ask permission. There's no excuse for not starting that recount immediately. You don't ask permission. You just do it.
Tennyson once wrote, "It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." And a lot of people feel that way about the county's canvassing board. It would have been better to at least start the recount of those 10,000 underballots than to just give up without trying.
I think that's a point for debate. As we sit here now, the heroic efforts that were undertaken in Palm Beach County appear to have been for nothing.
But they finished, and I think those votes ultimately are going to be counted.
Democratic Party Chairman Joe Geller says not recounting those 10,000 underballots is bad enough, but not certifying an additional 400 votes they found in the recount is insane.
How do you tell 400 people, we found your vote and we're still throwing it out? They should have counted as many votes as possible, certified as many people's votes as possible.
But the canvassing board chose to quit, probably costing Al Gore hundreds of votes. And all 3 board members are Democrats.
That's fine. Democrats can be just as stupid as Republicans.
Amen to that, brother. As a footnote, I should point out, riding the elevator up today to see the county attorney, I was joined by David Leahy, the election supervisor, who politely declined our interview, but he looked well rested.
No, so of course, sure, he had 4 days off.
Including Mayor Alex Pinellas, who I saw in the lobby, who didn't want anything to do with me, but he hasn't lost any sleep either.
Yeah, he really showed some great leadership over the past 10
When
days.
the chips are down, he was right there.
10 days, wouldn't you say? Joining us now, Tim Keegan, a friend of the Times, Republican political strategist. Tim, if you can, pretend for a moment that you're not an incredibly partisan political hack.
Okay, I'll try not
and tell me what your advice would be to Al Gore, other than
concede, right? Okay.
Right. How can he handle himself? How can he not alienate every single American citizen?
Well, first of all, you've taken my first best option away from me. So my second best option, I think at this point, his lawyers are going to go through the courts, and that's really where it's at. I don't think the fuzzy math, which the Gore campaign would like to put out there, that he's up by 9, is really going to matter in the final analysis. I think everything is going to rest upon the U.S. Supreme Court at the end of this week, possibly Monday, and that at that point, you're probably looking at a concession, frankly.
If he goes on TV tonight and says, look, be a little patient, no more than 10 days, you think other polls show that we are willing to wait a little, but we don't want a sense it's going to go on forever. You buy that?
I think the American public is very agreeable to waiting a definitive time. I mean, they've been very patient to this point, I think, for 3 weeks. Again, if there's a specific comment that says, let's see what the Supremes have to say,
and then we're
if
done.
It doesn't go my way, we're done, fine.
Right.
I think they'll go with that.
Tim Keegan, Steve Alvarez, thank you very much. Let's do the web poll. The question tonight, what could possibly have been more important to the canvassers in Miami-Dade County than counting those undervotes? 4 choices. A, too busy voting on whether stovetop stuffing really is better than potatoes. B, watching football. C, shopping at post-Thanksgiving sales. D, mentally gearing up for the frightening inevitability of a Bush administration. Please participate. You can vote in the web poll, sorry Tim, by checking out our website, wami.citysearch.com. Once you're there, click on the Times, results tomorrow. You know you're secretly scared. Break times now. We'll have these stories when we come back.
Doctor, I'm going to court for a personal injury claim, and I need you to testify.
Well, don't worry, little lady. For the right price, I'll say all the right things.
This is a circus. This is a joke. Hire the best experts, you get money.
And Elizabeth Hurley's chest is racking up the dollars.
You're watching The Times on WAMI 69 with Ben Mankiewicz, and reports tonight from Steve Alvarez and Alan Cohn. Those stories and more when The Times returns on WAMI 69.
They are integral parts of a trial in both criminal and civil cases, so-called expert witnesses who explain complicated issues to juries. But tonight, we expose allegations that some expert witnesses are selling their opinions to the highest bidder. Here's investigator Alan Cohn on one local judge who's taking a stand, saying enough is enough.
I'm going to the hospital. I have an emergency there.
He was the darling of the insurance industry, the go-to guy to dispute your injury claims, a respected neurosurgeon making hundreds of dollars an hour to testify in personal injury cases around southern Florida. That was until Dr. Stephen Gervin was accused of selling his opinions like a used car salesman and kicked out of the Fort Lauderdale courtroom of Judge Robert Lance Andrews.
Sometimes you just get to the point where you're fed up.
You could just imagine the spectacle earlier this year when Andrews, a self-described maverick who prides himself on his relaxed, informal style,
I believe in the system.
flew into a rage and booted Gervin out, shouting, quote, "I'm just not going to let him testify. He wouldn't know the truth if it leapt up and bit him on the ass."
It's a situation where you just don't want to take anymore. You give the parties an opportunity to go out and find somebody else. You've just been the envelope has been pushed to the point where it's broken.
What could Dr. Gervin, the successful chief of neurosurgery at Memorial Hospital in Pembroke Pines, have possibly done to earn the ire of Judge Andrews?
Judge Andrews went so far as calling you a liar and banning you from his court. Well, I'm not able to comment on that.
Could Judge Andrews' opinion of Dr. Gervin have anything to do with these court transcripts showing Dr. Gervin sometimes changes his opinion from case to case, depending on who he's working for?
We're in candid camera, sir.
Or was it this incredible videotape of Dr. Gervin obtained exclusively by The Times, where he pushes the ethical envelope? Not only are this lawyer and his client about to bolt for the door, Dr. Gervin would later be thrown off the case because of what you're about to see.
So there was a trap door. You knew of this trap door.
This is, you're taking a depo and I'm not going to allow this.
What you're seeing is Dr. Gervin trying to perform a court-ordered independent medical examination, or IME, in a personal injury case.
I take a medical history of how accidents happen.
But not only was he asking inappropriate questions,
We may want to call it a day.
It's a day.
Okay.
the most unbelievable part of this videotape is what happens when the lawyer and his client storm out and Dr. Gervin believes the camera is off.
You know, our office uses you a lot, and we wanted a legitimate IME.
He makes an offer that apparently even shocks the insurance company lawyer he's working for.
I can even say how his injuries are. I can do it now. If you wish, I'll do that.
You heard him. If you wish, I'll do it. Dr. Gervin is telling the insurance company lawyer the man's injuries are not related to the accident, even though he never got to examine him.
But they come on weeks later. It's not related.
What?
They came on weeks later.
Right.
It's complaints.
Well, you didn't have a chance to get physical examination.
I'll do that.
So what happened when we approached Dr. Gervin for comment about the incident? Well, he didn't exactly deny it, but he did say,
I have no remembrance of such it happening.
Did it not happen?
I have no remembrance.
A neurosurgeon with a memory problem. Doctor, it's on videotape, including your parting words.
Was this fun?
Dr. Stephen Gervin is one of a handful of so-called expert witnesses in South Florida who earn hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars a year testifying in personal injury cases, testifying for either insurance companies or those suing insurance companies.
Same way now.
Without a doubt, experts have become a crucial tool to explain complicated issues to juries. But Judge Andrews and a lot of other people are becoming convinced the staggering amount of money paid to experts is corrupting the system.
My charge is similar to what other orthopedic surgeons charge in this community, which is $650 per hour.
The quality of the experts you're getting now aren't very good. They'll say anything. They'll come up with any type of a theory to justify or to satisfy the individuals paying their fee.
But Dr. Alfonso Petty is an exception according to Judge Andrews. He may earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a year as an expert, but he testifies for both plaintiffs and defendants.
I think it's to your advantage to do both, because this way you're not biased one way or the other.
Fort Lauderdale attorney Bill Ruggiero keeps files on experts like Dr. Gervin, who testify primarily for insurance companies, so he can impeach them at trial.
These two filing cabinets have depositions and other information on the defense doctors that are being used continuously.
In essence, they're the Gervin files, documented instances where Gervin and other expert witnesses contradict themselves from case to case. Here's one. In March 1997, Gervin testifies, quote, "Coughing in and of itself will not herniate the disc by my thinking." But 4 years earlier, when Gervin was asked what else can cause herniated discs, he replied, coughing.
It's really inconsistent, the things that he does say from time to time in the depositions.
Another example, February 1993, quote, "Have you ever given one of your patients a permanent disability based on their subjective complaints? Answer, ever? I guess so. 3 years later, same question, no."
There are some people who believe that from time to time you contradict yourself from case to case. What would you like to say about that?
I have nothing to say, sir.
Here's another favorite target of attorney Bill Ruggiero.
Well, I don't think I use the word faking. I think that she's magnifying her symptoms. I think she's embellishing her complaints to some degree.
Dr. Alan Routman, an orthopedic surgeon from Fort Lauderdale.
Are you questioning the veracity of what I put down in my report, sir?
Yes, sir.
Well,
yes, sir, as I have many times.
Ruggiero showed us examples where Routman, too, contradicted himself from case to case. In one case, the doctor testifies he views patients sent to him by insurance companies with skepticism. But in another case, he says it's important to be objective.
the money is not an incentive to get me to go to court and to lie on the witness stand.
We found out that in 1996 from one insurance company, one, and you must have testified for 25 or 30, that you made $273,000. Are you being honest and truthful, sir, when you make the kind of money you're making doing these defense exams?
Well, I don't deny that I make a good living as an orthopedic surgeon.
A darn good living from those insurance companies denying injury claims. In fact, just about every claim he sees, he denies. According to records compiled by Bill Ruggiero, nearly 96% of the people Routman is asked to examine are denied permanent disability status.
Is it possible that 96% of those who are suing insurance companies are not injured?
Well, I think that's possible.
But Judge Andrews says if doctors like Alan Routman dare to actually find something wrong with a plaintiff, the insurance company would make them think twice because it would have to pay out.
If you see a doctor that starts to render opinions favorable to the plaintiff, he's very rarely used anymore.
But it cuts both ways, says attorney Dale Hightower, who defends insurance companies in personal injury cases.
The legal community knows that there's a group of doctors that will support the plaintiffs in general, and there's a group of doctors that will support the defense in general. And they keep running into the same doctors over and over and over in the court.
Would it be fair for the public to take from that these people will say anything for the money?
I don't think you can say that.
But how does he explain that videotape of Dr. Stephen Gervin, for example, offering to write an opinion without actually doing an examination?
It leads you to believe that, this doctor is basically selling his opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And in some cases, that's probably what happens to one degree or another. But not in all cases, and I think that most doctors that testify in court are honest, but like everyone, whether it be plumbers, auto mechanics, or whatever, you're going to find some bad apples.
After Judge Andrews' very public and very embarrassing comments, Dr. Gervin became too hot to handle. He was shunned by the insurance companies. In an effort to resurrect his business, he sent this flyer to local attorneys announcing he was lowering his rates. And he sued Judge Andrews. Andrews won't discuss the case, but he has no regrets about speaking out about an expert and an industry which he claims is making a mockery of the courts.
This is a circus. This is a joke. Hire the best experts, you get money. Hire the best experts, you're not found guilty of malpractice. It sort of undermines the faith and credibility of the people in the system itself.
So, where do you go to complain about an unscrupulous witness? After all, you can take your complaints about a lawyer to the state bar. You can take your grievance with a doctor to the state licensing board. But there is no oversight of doctors who make their living in the court. It's simply a matter of juror beware. Ben?
Alan, very terrific piece. I was curious, the doctor, Dr. Routman, who turns down 96% of all the claims that come to him, at least that go to court. He gave a partial answer to your question about that 96% figure. What's the rest of the answer?
He does say that that does not take into account cases where he says that there is an injury and the insurance company settles the case before it gets to court.
Okay. Alan Cohn, thanks very much. Another break. When we come back, part 2 of Alan's story. No, just kidding. We'll have these stories when the Times continues.
Too bad the actors on Ally McBeal aren't real lawyers, because guest star Robert Downey Jr. could sure use one. And if you think our electoral process is fraught with intimidation and corruption, take a look at Haiti.
Sign of the recidivist times. For the 23rd time, Robert Downey Jr. has fallen off the sobriety wagon and onto the paddy wagon. Police found Downey Saturday night in a Palm Springs hotel with cocaine and methamphetamine. He told the police he was tired from 16-hour workdays on the set of Ally McBeal and was just trying to relax. Downey was released on $15,000 bail. The arresting officer says when he found a bottle with white powder at the scene, Downey conceded the cops had him, saying, quote, "I think it's speed and I think I'm in trouble." Downey may be a drug addict, but at least he knows how to concede, which is more than we can say for some people. Sign of the precocious times. Either kids are getting smarter these days or classes are getting easier. The country's youngest college student is getting straight A's. 10-year-old Sho Yano is planning to pursue a career in genetic research. Sho started classes at Loyola University in Chicago in the fall, and so far, so good. He even got a 106 on a chemistry exam. When I was 10, success for me was making my own toast. On the upside, Sho is probably one of the few kids with less of a chance of getting laid in college than I had. Show there. And a sign of the bodacious times, Elizabeth Hurley knows how to get the most out of her assets. The buxom star will sign a $4 million deal with MJM International to peddle their line of Uber bras. The deal would make her the highest paid lingerie model in the world. And as all who know Hurley are well aware, you need a serious bra to contain Hurley's guns.
Ando contigo, querido.
Oh my God! Vanessa, you're a fembomb!
When we come back, we'll tell you about a real election crisis. But first, this question: who said it, quote, "I need to get the sex back in my acting"? Are those the words of Demi Moore, Kathy Bates, or Richard Gere? We'll have the answer when we come back. Who said it? I need to get the sex back in my acting. Thankfully, those are not the words of Kathy Bates, but of Demi Moore. Nothing personal, Kathy. Let's do the weather. More curl up under the covers and call in sick weather in store for us. Partly cloudy morning Tuesday with lows in the 60s. Brr. Temperatures will gradually, that word is gradually, Judy, climb up into the upper 70s by the afternoon. Over the next 5 days, Judy looked at me like I'm a moron. A strong chance of rain and more cloudy conditions with lows in the 50s and 60s, highs in the 70s. During November, it's a ratings period for TV stations. The next best thing to a TNA piece is a diet story. But ours will be different from the other stations insofar as we didn't have to go outside the studio for our test subjects. Nope, we found plenty of portly people, or rather pound-challenged people, right here in the Times newsroom. These dedicated volunteers tried every type of diet: Atkins, The Zone, even a special one for carb addicts, which basically refers to everybody in America. Tomorrow on The Times, reporter Faye Fredericks tells us which diets worked and which employees should just have worked out. Now we'll check last Wednesday's web poll results. We were off over Thanksgiving. The question on this Thanksgiving, what are you most thankful for? 13% said that you won't spend Thanksgiving recounting votes for either of those two clowns. 31% said that you don't live in some banana republic where they can't hold a clean election. 17% that there isn't another presidential election for another 4 years. And the big winner, 39%, that the Dolphins are 8-3, now 9-3. Time is almost up, but first this. As Al Gore fights on, as George Bush reads the chapter on transition teams and being president for dummies, critics of our process, mostly conservatives, are on TV saying we're embarrassing ourselves. The whole world is watching. It's a crock. We're not embarrassing ourselves. You want an embarrassing election? Check out Haiti. Election day, Sunday, was marred by 2 bomb blasts. 9 pipe bombs exploded in the week prior to Election Day. The election is supposed to return Jean-Bertrand Aristide to power. He's a shoo-in to win because the 6 guys he's running against did not campaign. They were afraid they might be attacked. Now, that's embarrassing. What we have is just a really close election. Now, our time's up. Thanks for watching. I'm Ben Mankiewicz. It's Judy. Can we pull back and see Judy? She's from Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anyway, I'm still Ben Mankiewicz. These were the times on WAMI 69. We're back tomorrow night at 11:30. Thank you for watching. Thanks.